Welcome to a webinar about the Luce Scholars Program written for prospective Wellesley College applicants in the summer of 2018. Hello, I'm Kate Danlinger. I'm the Director of Fellowship Programs here at Wellesley, and I've been working with the Luce since about 2010. It's a fantastic program, and I'm delighted that you've joined us to learn more about it. So what exactly is the Luce? It's a program that was started in 1974, which aims to introduce Americans who, without much prior exposure to Asia, which is such an exciting and rich and vital part of the world that clearly Americans should get to know better. This is a snapshot of the cover of the official brochure about the Luce Scholars Program. You can find the brochure, reports from current Luce scholars to hear what they're making of things, the application, and so much more on the official website at www.hluce.org/LS for Luce Scholars Program. A lot of what follows is based on information on the website, supplemented by my years of working with the Luce and also the latest information from the foundation. I've tried to add to what you'll find online, but do feel free to ask questions. If not actually during the webinar, perhaps by emailing or being in touch with us either via pop-ups or by scheduling a one-on-one appointment. For details of how to do this, check out our website, which is wellesley.edu/career education. Thanks so much. I look forward very much to talking with you. So what exactly is this? Who's eligible for the Luce Scholars Program? If you look at their website at the moment, actually, they haven't yet caught up to the exciting changes they've recently made to expand eligibility for the Luce Scholars Program. It's open to US citizens or permanent residents under the age of 30. You cannot have turned 30 by July 1st of the year that the fellowship would begin. So if you apply for Wellesley's nomination this fall in 2018, you may not have turned 30 by July 1st of 2019. You also need to have completed your bachelor's degree by the start of the fellowship on or about the 1st of July. Other requirements include the fact that they're looking for Americans without significant experience in Asia or Asian studies. So applicants may have spent up to a total of 18 weeks, which varies from the old limit of 12, 18 weeks in one or more of the countries where Luce scholars are placed since graduating from high school. So this is a cumulative amount. So if you spent 2 weeks one year and 2 weeks another year and 3 weeks another year, that's okay. But if all those weeks together add up to more than 18, unfortunately, that means we should talk about other ways to get you to Asia. Those who have majored in Asia studies similarly can't apply for the Luce. However, a minor in Asian studies is fine, as is language study, even when it's significant and has lasted many years. Again, as long as you don't have difficulty with the length of time you spent in Asia. For Asian Americans, again, note that it's 18 weeks since graduating from high school. So if you were adopted from Asia, if you grew up in Asia and moved to this country and are now a permanent citizen, a permanent resident or US citizen, you are in fact eligible as long as you meet the other eligibility requirements for the Luce. So what exactly is it? What does it provide? It offers orientation, travel, cost of living stipends, plus housing allowances, medical and travel insurance, intensive language training in country, and professional placements. Placements can be made in the countries that you're seeing on the screen right now, including Cambodia, China, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Japan, Laos, Malaysia, Mongolia, Myanmar, Nepal, the Philippines, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam, which is really exciting. There's so many different possibilities there. What would you do in those countries? Luce scholars gain new perspectives and cultural insights on their host countries through immersive living and working experiences in Asia. This is experiential learning through professional placements, which are individually arranged for each Luce scholar on the basis of his or her professional interest, background, and qualifications. Should you win the Luce scholarship, they will work to find a professional placement that suits you. In spite of its name, the Luce Scholars Program is, as I mentioned, experiential rather than academic in nature. Some scholars have been attached to Asian universities in teaching or research capacities, but none of the participants is formally enrolled as a student in a college or university, and no academic credit is extended. The placements are intended primarily as learning opportunities for the scholar. Certainly, it's hoped that a scholar will be able to make a professional contribution to the host organization, but equally important is a willingness to learn some of the many things that Asia has to teach. You can read so much more about placements via their website, and you can see a screenshot here of another way to learn about placements by reading the Luce Scholars News, which is written by current scholars while they're in the middle of things, so it's really exciting and up to date. You'll also see there are further details about the kinds of placements, what happens during the program year, and a whole series of really helpful FAQs. So do check out the website because there's all kinds of good stuff there. In the meantime, it may be helpful to get some more specific examples. Here's Elizabeth Mandeville, Wellesley College, class of 2004, who was a Luce scholar from 2005 to 6 in front of at Angkor Wat. She went to Cambodia to test her interest in post-conflict development and labor before embarking on what she thought would be an academic career. She and her outlook and her values were deeply tested during a very challenging year as a Luce scholar, but she learned so much from it. And I think she would agree that as challenging as that year was, she's really glad she did it. I've known other Luce scholars who went to learn about languages, journalism, scientific research, community health work, the use of natural resources like water, through professional placements and cultural immersion. You don't know ahead of time where you'll be placed, in what country or organization, and while you can express a preference, it's really important to be flexible and to apply with openness and a willingness to learn from other perspectives, histories, ways of doing things, other cultural norms and expectations. Again, should you win a Luce, they'll work with you to try to find a placement suitable to your interests using the wide Luce network and contacts via the Asia Society. So there are all kinds of possibilities, and so even though at the time of application you don't know where you'd be sent, there are some amazing opportunities out there. So how might you win a Luce scholarship? What exactly are they looking for in candidates? Again, here's an outtake from their brochure. And it mentions a lot of those words that I think often makes people scared or stumble or wonder what the heck they mean by high achievement or outstanding leadership ability, etc. So let me parse that a little bit for you here. Achievement, they're looking for promise to make a contribution in your proposed professional field of interest. And there are so many ways that past achievement in different arenas might demonstrate this, whether academic, professional, through your volunteer work. There are all kinds of ways to demonstrate that you've made good use of your opportunities, whatever they've been. And so this is up to you to make a case for what some of your relevant past experience, skills, and accomplishments are that relate to what it is that you say in your Luce application you're hoping to go on and do in the world, and what you might hope to learn from a year in Asia. Again, when they say leadership, they're not looking for some kind of a platonic ideal of leadership nor fancy titles. This is more about demonstrating your potential to be an agent of change, a leader in your field, whatever that field is and whatever leadership in that field looks like, and as you want to define what it takes to be a leader in that field. You can be a thought leader, you can be really good at identifying problems and creative solutions. Leadership, too, involves not just having interesting ideas, but getting folks to take action with you to turn a bright idea into tangible change or tangible difference in the world. Again, there are so many ways to demonstrate this. So what do you bring to the table as a candidate? One of the really important selection criteria for the Luce is that they are looking for clearly defined interests and potential for professional accomplishments. This doesn't mean that you need a 50-year plan, nor that you need to be absolutely certain of what you want to do in the world or what your future may hold. We understand this is a work in progress. What the application process asks of you is to give your most thoughtful answer to the question as of this moment in time. It's helpful if you can be as specific as possible in whatever answers you give. You might say, for example, I'm interested in solving this particular problem or meeting this particular need. And doing it might look like this or it might look like that. Alternatively, you may be able to say, I'm interested in working in this particular field, and here's why I think it's really interesting, not just personally, but why it's interesting generally speaking, why the work is worth doing. Or there may be other ways for you to be specific about your longer term aims and aspirations. And then the next piece that's important is showing how a year in Asia would fit into that and what you might hope to learn from a year in Asia. If the particular problem or need that you're hoping to address is something that people are addressing in Asia, and maybe they're coming up with some really interesting, innovative solutions, or they have an approach that's really intriguing, or something's going on somewhere. If you can find a few examples in different places that are related to your interests, that's great. It's helpful not to sound as if I only want the Luce to be placed with this particular organization in this country, and that's all I'm interested in looking at. Remember, they're looking for openness. They're looking for flexibility and those kinds of things. The key questions for any good and strong Luce application is good answers to the questions, why you, why Asia, and why now? Note that all fields, when they're talking about all fields of interest, it refers to professional fields rather than to undergraduate majors or proposed fields for graduate study. Candidates are not judged on the basis of whether or not they have developed specific plans for their Asian experience. A candidate may have general ideas about the kind of placement preferred, but this is not considered as either a negative or a positive factor. But it's useful, the kinds of specific examples I suggested might be useful, A, to help you explore what you might hope to learn from a year in Asia, and B, to demonstrate to the committee how you're thinking about this, at least. Again, don't forget that the Luce Scholars Program is experiential rather than academic in nature. So personal qualities such as flexibility, adaptability, creativity, humility, openness to new ideas, and sensitivity to cultural differences are as important as academic achievement. And I've borrowed that language straight from the Luce Foundation itself. I'm not making this up. So really, again, there are so many ways to demonstrate fit for this particular program. Again, they're looking for evidence that a candidate will be a leader both within his or her profession and as a member of the broader community. So initiative, creativity, maturity, humility, sensitivity, and strength of character are all characteristics that typify successful candidates. I know lots of folks like that at Wellesley. Perhaps you might be the next Wellesley Luce Scholar. So how exactly do you apply for the Luce Scholars Program? Check out information on our website about how to apply for Wellesley's nomination in early October. We're essentially looking for a copy of what you'd submit to the National Selection Committee. The Campus Nomination Committee, traditionally comprised of alumni, including former Luce scholars, reads applications, interviews shortlisted candidates on campus or via Skype or phone, and provides feedback to all applicants, if you'd like it. Should your application be one of no more than 3 that Wellesley may put forward to the national competition in a given year, you'll have a chance to make use of that feedback to make final tweaks to your application before it goes forward. The national application deadline is usually on November 1st for the submission of nominated applications, and it is this fall. Note that this fall there will be a new online application system. I've been told specifically that it will not differ in substance from the PDF application, currently still the only one available via the Luce website. You can use it to begin your application now and even copy and paste your work into the new online system after it launches. So don't worry about the fact that the new online system isn't yet available. After the campus application deadline, there are 2 rounds of national interviews for successful nominees and finalists. And the selection process is typically complete by sometime in February. So it's a longish timeline, but not as long as something like Fulbright. The other thing is, while you're a Wellesley student or alum, and smart and capable, you don't have to go it alone. Career Education, the fellowships team, and I are all here to help. Application advice is available on the Career Education website, and I offer feedback on draft essays, time permitting. But do note that September and early October are the peak season for postgraduate fellowships, so appointments book up quickly. You can see what's available via Handshake, the new online system that's replaced my CWS for those of you who's been out a few years. Can't find an appointment or just have a quick question after this presentation? We also offer pop-up fellowships advising 2-hour blocks when you can drop by without an appointment, either in person during the academic year or virtually during the summer and year-round. See events listings on our website and in Handshake. In addition to application advice, I also offer interview prep for semifinalists and finalist interviews. Again, there are interviewing resources on our website, available 24/7 if you have internet access, and see events listings for workshops. Book one-on-one fellowship appointments with me for interview prep. So it's really easy. You have a lot of support. You don't have to do it alone. What does the application actually look like? It's pretty straightforward. It requires 4 letters of reference, transcripts, including any applicable non-Wellesley transcripts. If you perhaps transferred to Wellesley from another institution, did study abroad, or are either currently in or were previously enrolled in a graduate program. Again, you have up until the age of 30 to apply, and knowing Wellesley folks, many of you go on to graduate or professional study either before or after the Luce, and that's neither a good nor a bad thing necessarily. It's all about where you are in the process and how you see a year in Asia fitting into things. The application itself includes a series of short answer questions, which could simply include parts of what might otherwise make up your resume. For example, they ask you for a description of major non-academic activities since high school, to describe past travel abroad, languages, etc. There are also some more interesting short answer questions, including they ask you to list the 5 college courses of greatest value to you with a sentence about why each has been of value to you. And a really fabulous one, which is a gift, but I know when folks look at it, they go into a tailspin because it says, is there anything else that you'd like to add or that we should know about you? Think about all of the things that you've been able to fit into the application in other ways. This is a gift. They've asked a lot of specific questions, for example, about 5 college courses and non-academic activities and languages and things. What else haven't they asked that they should know? What else maybe didn't fit into the narrative, the beautiful narrative in your personal statement, but is also an important thing you might want the committee to know about why you're applying for the Luce, what you want to do in the world, how you might approach a year in Asia, various kinds of things. It's really up to you what it is that you feel you want to share and what you think is important and relevant for the committee to know about you. The other big piece of the application is a personal statement of 2 pages or so. It should fit in with the confines of the form. So I'm sorry I can't be more specific about word limits, for example, and we'll see what the new online application looks like. But generally speaking, I think if you stick with 2 pages, you're good to go. What they ask you to address in that personal statement are A, your long-range career interests and how they've developed, B, your understanding of leadership, and C, your reasons for applying to the Luce Scholars Program. That's a really helpful prompt in many ways, as opposed to some other applications I know, which basically say, please give us a personal statement of 1,000 words or fewer. On the other hand, it's still broad enough that that can be a challenge to figure out what it is that you want to say in answer to all of those pieces about career interests and leadership and your reasons for applying for the Luce Scholars Program. One great way to begin to think about that is to think about, for you, what you think is most important or relevant for the committee to know about you. What should they know about what you hope to go on to do, what you bring to the table, and how all of that helps to meet the mission of the Luce Scholars Program and the selection criteria as stated by the Foundation. What's most relevant given that mission, the selection criteria, and all the great things you bring to the table? Think about the various pieces of the application, those letters, transcripts, the various essays, how they work together. Think about which pieces might best convey the most important points you want the committee to know. Not everything has to fit into the personal statement, nor can it necessarily best be said by you, which is a nice segue into some advice that is really obvious, but hopefully helpful here. You want to choose your letters carefully. Think about the writers as expert witnesses who can help you bolster the case, persuade the committee of the case that you're trying to make. It's helpful if at least one of these letters can be from outside of Wellesley, perhaps from an internship or job supervisor, a senior person who's seen you do volunteer work. There are lots of possibilities. They don't all have to come from professors, and in fact, it's helpful if not all of your letters come from professors. Again, this is about professional placement. It's about experiential learning. It's not an application for graduate study. The other thing is that you don't have to blow your own horn. Your recommenders will do it for you. So choose them wisely and set them up for success. Plan ahead, ask for letters in timely fashion. I would say not less than 3 weeks before a deadline, and preferably more than that. Give folks a graceful out when you're asking for a reference. For example, do you feel you know me well enough, and do you have time to write in support of this application? I know how busy you are. If somebody sounds like they need to take that graceful out, let them off the hook. You have no idea what's going on in their lives, and there may be some good reason why they're worried about their ability to write a strong letter for you. It's not necessarily that they don't support you, but that you don't know what's going on in their personal lives, for example. Lastly, if you can start the conversations with potential recommenders by asking for advice, talking with them about why you're interested in the Luce and what you'd hope to gain. See what they think. It'll not only give you good advice for your application and to help you think about future planning, but it will make the writer's job much easier to write letters, and it will allow them to craft stronger, more specific letters of reference, which will really help your application shine. Again, it's really helpful if you can plan ahead to do this. If I've not completely put you off by now talking about the various elements and the work you have to do and the challenging nature of the placements, I would encourage you to remember that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Applying for fellowships, whether or not you win Wellesley's nomination, whether or not you get called as a finalist, whether or not you win the fellowship, is, I believe, a very valuable process. You're giving yourself the gift of time to reflect on your longer-term goals and aspirations, your plans for achieving them, to craft an argument about what is the work that you hope to do in the world. Where did that come from? Why are you the person for the job? You get practice persuading other people for that. Even if you never apply for another fellowship, guaranteed you'll apply for jobs, and all of this is transferable skills and experience. It's really helpful. I've watched people take the application process for fellowships and what they've learned from it and go on and succeed in so many different ways. The thousands of people I've worked with over the years, I'm really excited to be part of that process and help you gain the most from it. And if by chance you should be Wellesley's next Luce Scholar, I will be delighted for you. But if the least that you get out of this is a chance to reflect, an opportunity to touch base with important mentors, what Christine Cruz Vergara here in career education likes to call your personal advisory board, the folks you turn to for advice, who can give you the truth, who can help you figure out next steps, talk things through. If that's the least you get out of this, none of it's wasted effort, right? And if you should win the chance to go and spend a year in Asia, I've heard amazing things from people who've done the Luce Scholarship about their experiences, the unexpected ways that they've learned and grown, the strength they've discovered that they hadn't known they had, the way it's shaped their future careers in really exciting and transformative ways. If this sounds like something that you might be up for, I hope you'll be in touch, and I hope you'll apply for the Luce Scholars Program. Thanks so much. And if you have any questions, we'll look forward very much to addressing them. Always feel free to email fellowships@wellesley.edu, and one of us will get back to you as soon as we can. Join us for pop-up advising, book an appointment. I can't wait to start the conversation with you. Take care and best of luck.